What makes a man-child? Is it his refusal to grow up, his love for indulgence, or his carefree spirit that refuses to be tamed? In this video, we'll delve into what brings men to the state of prolonged boyhood, what we can learn from their free-spirited nature, and what ultimately forces them to become more responsible. Let's take a deep dive into a nakshatra that embodies this archetype in its purest form.
I could not get Adam to drink one beer with me.
No way. If he drinks too much, the stick might fall out of his ass.
For the playful, indulgent, and creative, this is the Purva Phalguni experience. There's a rhythm in the cosmos, a magnetic pull that beckons us to immerse ourselves in the beauty of existence. These are the teachings of Purva Phalguni Nakshatra in Leo, a lunar mansion ruled by Venus, where the material world becomes a canvas for our conscious and unconscious desires. It is the nakshatra of lovers, dreamers, and creators, urging us to chase pleasure, indulge in sensuality, and actively create the life that we long for. In this video, we will explore how indulgence becomes a lesson. When unchecked, its passion becomes gluttony, its freedom, resistance to responsibility. This nakshatra teaches us that growth often comes through grounding, whether through relationships, children, or life's demands. It is the journey from self-indulgence to self-mastery. The principle of equilibrium suggests that anything in excess must be balanced by its opposing force. This is why nakshatras governed by energetically abundant planets like Jupiter, the Sun, and Venus face the challenge of too much of a good thing. As I discussed in my blog post, The Astrology of Romance, individuals with Purva Phalguni Nakshatra often approach relationships with an intense, all-encompassing passion, but struggle when it comes to transforming that romance into something lasting, like marriage. This pattern often leads to breakups and embodies the romantic tragedy archetype, frequently portrayed in Purva Phalguni themes. However, this tendency runs deeper than mere romantic missteps. It stems from an inherent resistance to growing up. Purva Phalguni's Venusian indulgence can sometimes step into immaturity.
You want a piece of me?
This reflects the fifth house themes of childlike joy and irresponsibility. This prolonged state of emotional childishness, avoiding the sixth house's demands for discipline and engagement with the real-world challenges of adult life. This archetype is commonly referred to as a man-child. The man-child trope typically revolves around a man who might be stuck in a state of childlike playfulness or exhibit materialistic indulgence through behaviors like partying, flirting, or hooking up with multiple women, all while prioritizing his own enjoyment.
एक महान इंसान ने मेरे बारे में एक बहुत अच्छी बात कही थी कि आरुष से सिर्फ वो लड़की नहीं पटती जिसे आरुष नहीं पटाना चाहता, और वो महान इंसान मैं ही हूँ.
And that's why I can sell myself to any woman, anywhere, anytime.
Often he lacks direction in life, though he may possess some artistic talent. Even without this, he remains trapped in bachelorhood through a sense of escapism or being helplessly stuck. He is either in a failing or stagnant relationship or avoids commitment altogether. The man-child trope goes two ways: the carefree childlike archetype and the slacker/womanizer archetype. Adam Sandler, who has Purva Phalguni's son, often plays characters that are a quintessential embodiment of this childlike man-child archetype. Many of his films center around a character who is stuck in a state of arrested development and unable to grow up. He even adopts a distinct way of speaking in these roles, reflecting the simplistic nature of his characters.
You guys were playing hangman?
None of my ancestors ever stepped foot in this land.
It's kind of like a Swiss Army Army.
Some Purva Phalguni actors are renowned for their exaggerated, comedic characters. Their brand of comedy is less about wit and more about pure childishness, often bordering on the animated. Sometimes they also wear absurd clothing to amplify the absurdity of their characters, playing on the performative aspect of the fifth house. They are often known for their iconic comedic character itself. This exaggerated, infantilized persona of Adam Sandler's characters can be likened to Will Ferrell's comedic roles, who also has Purva Phalguni son. It can also be compared to the famous vintage Bollywood comedic actor Mahmood, who has Purva Phalguni moon as well. The same can be said for Shakti Kapoor in later films, who has Purva Phalguni sun. The other manchild archetype in media is the hedonist, whose indulgent lifestyle often leads him to become either a slacker or a womanizer, or both. Unlike the infantilized version, he's a carefree, aimless figure who spends his days indulging in drinking, smoking, partying, and other forms of immediate gratification.
This aligns with Purva Phalguni Nakshatra's symbol
Of a hammock or bed, which embodies pleasure-oriented behavior. The slacker lacks ambition or direction. His job typically provides just enough to get by, or might bring him joy, but offers little financial reward. He thrives on instant pleasure and avoids long-term planning. While he often fits the womanizer mold, that may not always be the case. The womanizer, on the other hand, may or may not have a stable job, but he struggles to maintain long-term relationships. Eventually, his repeated failures lead him to give up on commitment and embrace a womanizing lifestyle. These slacker characters are often depicted living on a boat or in some form of impermanent residence, symbolizing their avoidance of stability and commitment. The boat serves as a metaphor for their desire for freedom and detachment from deeper responsibilities. It reflects their reluctance to settle down, embrace maturity, or face the burdens of traditional domestic life. By living on a boat, they avoid being anchored to any particular place or set of obligations, choosing instead to live without the constraints of long-term commitment. Additionally, the water itself symbolizes a deeply feminine, indulgent part of their psyche, representing emotional fluidity, intuition, and freedom. Elements they are drawn to and attached to, as it mirrors their inner desire to escape the rigidity of conventional life. If not on a boat, the deep detachment of the Purva Phalguni character can be literal, as they get away from the world and float adrift in outer space. Part of the reason these characters struggle financially or materially initially is their Venusian single-mindedness, driven by passion rather than practicality. Due to their energetic abundance, Venus nakshatras typically operate in a more masculine way, emphasizing creativity over the mercurial or Mars-oriented business tactics or promotional strategies needed to market their artwork effectively. These individuals are often focused solely on their craft, rather than employing calculated methods to appeal to an audience. The feminine virtues I speak about are more mercurial/Mars oriented, and I delve deeper into their role in my wife material Zodiac sign series that you can check out on my blog. Part of the reason they avoid employing these tactics is that they themselves wouldn't be swayed by them, as their highly evolved aesthetic judgment prioritizes the quality of the work over its marketing. To them, if the art or product is good, the promotion is irrelevant. This belief leads them to assume others would feel the same way, failing to recognize that the general public may be more influenced by clever marketing than by the inherent value of the product itself. So, even when Venus Nakshatra individuals create exceptional products, services, or artworks, it can be challenging for them to stay motivated in their field if they don't receive proper compensation. In the show Parenthood, Dax Shepard with Purva Phalguni Moon plays Crosby, a music producer who owns a studio. He resists engaging in strategic or manipulative business practices, prioritizing the quality and authenticity of his studio over sales tactics. This contrasts with his brother Adam, played by Peter Krause, who has Dhanishta Moon and Ashlesha Sun. Adam has a more calculated approach to securing clients.
Turns out that Dawes is checking into the Chamberlain Hotel.
How do you know that Dawes is checking into the Chamberlain Hotel?
Fan tweeted about it. Listen,
That's pretty creepy.
you told me that you're not comfortable calling them, but I figure you're probably comfortable enough for us to stage a random bump in at the hip bar there at the Chamberlain. What do you say?
And you're joking. This is a joke?
What, you have a better idea? We got to keep business moving in here.
Respect their privacy.
This
and
is just about
relationship.
doing business. That's all this is.
This
Just
isn't.
one way of
I
doing
don't want to do
business.
business like this. What
You know,
I'm
the
saying
problem
is,
is you don't have any business experience.
Oh
You
yeah,
have to
I did
go
not
after
go to
clients.
Wharton, okay? But I've played Monopoly, and I don't remember a square on the board that says stalk future clients or screw over ex-boss.
Either way, this tendency leads the Purva Phalguni man to adopt a slacker mentality, wasting a significant amount of time and energy without gaining any meaningful returns. What eventually prompts the man-child character to grow up is often a sudden and significant responsibility. This often comes in the form of a desire to pursue a woman and evolve for her, a concept tied to the 5th house, as discussed on my blog in part 1 of the series. The Purva Phalguni man often avoids confronting his own resistance to adulthood, preferring the comfort of delayed responsibility. In response, the universe intervenes, introducing him to a child who acts as a mirror. This child may be his own or someone else's, with whom he unexpectedly becomes involved. Typically, the situation is beyond his control. Perhaps the child is abandoned, orphaned, or simply entrusted to his care by fate. In the beginning, this man is a classic slacker or womanizer. Yet, through the presence of this child, whether in a direct caretaking role or simply through recurring exposure, such as returning to school or spending time around children, he gradually awakens. As he observes the child's behavior, he begins to recognize his own patterns, mirrored in their actions. Through this reflection, he realizes he has been living with the same carelessness and emotional impulsivity as a child. This experience catalyzes a deep inner transformation. He gradually outgrows these patterns, embracing responsibility and stepping into emotional maturity. Purva Phalguni is also one of the top nakshatras for men who date older women. Tom Collins, a triple Purva Phalguni native, is married to Heidi Klum, who is 16 years older than him. Similarly, Aaron Taylor Johnson with Purva Phalguni ascendant is married to Sam Taylor Johnson, who is 23 years older than him. Aditya Pancholi, who has Purva Phalguni sun, is married to Zarina Wahab, and the age difference between them is 5 years. Just like Jessica Chastain and her husband, Gianluca Pasi de Preposulo, who has Purva Phalguni moon. In The Graduate, starring Dustin Hoffman with Purva Phalguni moon, his character Benjamin Braddock becomes romantically entangled with the older and seductive Mrs. Robinson. Their affair affects Benjamin's aimless postgraduate life and his struggle to find purpose, as Mrs. Robinson's dominance mirrors his lack of direction. The musical duo Simon and Garfunkel created the iconic title song Mrs. Robinson. The song was written by Paul Simon, one half of the duo who has Purva Phalguni ascendant. Other examples of movies and shows featuring younger men dating older women with Purva Phalguni actors include How Stella Got Her Groove Back starring Angela Bassett with Purva Phalguni moon, A Family Affair featuring Zac Efron with Purva Phalguni moon, Sherry starring Michelle Pfeiffer with Purva Phalguni moon, The Boy Next Door starring Ryan Guzman with Purva Phalguni moon, Something's Gotta Give with Keanu Reeves who has Purva Phalguni sun, and lastly Cougar Town starring Josh Hopkins with Purva Phalguni sun. Purva Phalguni men tend to evolve significantly through relationships. Even when there's a need to balance the partner's energies, it naturally harmonizes over time, leading them to become more responsible. While this dynamic doesn't necessarily stem from the desire for a mother figure, these men often appreciate the emotional stability and intelligence and the life experience that an older woman brings, creating a stable foundation for a relationship. This reasoning aligns with the manchild trope, as these men prefer partners who can guide them towards maturity and accountability. Jake Woodard, a masculinity coach on Instagram, has his son in Purva Phalguni Nakshatra, and his wife Melissa is 7 years older than him. Known for teaching about cultivating polarity in relationships, he also emphasizes breaking free from the mama's boy archetype. Jake Woodard also shares that he and his wife broke up twice while dating before eventually getting married, highlighting that their bond was forged through significant penance and hard work. His journey serves as a powerful example of the transformative evolution associated with Purva Phalguni. Let's explore the Purva Phalguni universe through the lens of the show Parenthood. Interestingly, much of the cast has placements in Magha or Purva Phalguni Nakshatra. This ties seemingly into the show's fifth house themes about four middle-aged siblings, their unique family structures, and the different ways they approach raising their children. This show embodies all of the Purva Phalguni themes I have explored in this series, including slacking off, personal growth through children, and the balance between indulgence and responsibility, along with many other nuances that bring the nakshatra's essence to life. Spoilers are ahead, so feel free to skip this section if you'd rather avoid them. I will explore the four Purva Phalguni characters here. Crosby Braverman, played by Dax Shepard, Hattie Braverman, played by Sarah Ramos, Mark Sear, played by Jason Ritter, and Sydney Graham, played by Savannah Page Ray. First, Crosby Braverman is a central character in the series. At the start of the series, Crosby works as a small-time record record producer. He enjoys a carefree bachelor lifestyle, living on a houseboat and avoiding any long-term commitments. He has a casual girlfriend named Katie who is ready to settle down and start a family, but Crosby is not ready for it.
Every time the word commitment comes up, you wince. You're an infant!
The relationship is tested when Crosby finds out he has a 5-year-old son, Jabbar, with his ex-girlfriend Jasmine, playing into the Purva Phalguni archetype of encountering a child. This news forces Crosby to reconsider his priorities and his relationship with Katie. Throughout the series, Crosby undergoes substantial personal growth to a dedicated father and husband. Crosby also partners with his brother to run a recording studio purely out of passion.
Then one night Jerry Garcia wandered in. He fell in love with the place, the acoustics, the vibe. Next thing you know, Grateful Dead are recording here. Then Janis Joplin, Jimi Hendrix, Neil Young has recorded here.
And when presented with a significantly large offer to sell it, he refuses, prioritizing his love for the work over financial gain. Mark Sear, the recurring character, is a kind, thoughtful, and optimistic high school teacher, highlighting the Purva Phalguni themes of nurturing and spending time around youth.
Did Mark tell you he's wanted to be a teacher ever since kindergarten?
Emphasizing his dedication to his profession and the value he places on making a meaningful impact rather than prioritizing financial gain. He falls in love with Sarah Braverman, a woman who is 10 years older than him, reflecting his ability to connect deeply despite differences in age or life stages. He proves himself to be mature, supportive, and deeply caring, especially towards Sarah and her 2 teenage children. Now that we have identified a distinct Purva Phalguni pattern in the world, a natural follow-up question arises. Why does the manchild archetype emerge? While Crosby and Mark clearly embody Purva Phalguni themes, exploring these patterns through Sydney Graham and Hattie Braverman provides deeper insight into their development during childhood and teenage years. Sydney and Hattie's experiences and personalities offer a glimpse into the root cause of the archetype seen in Purva Phalguni. Firstly, their parents Joel and Julia, as well as Adam and Christina, are the most financially well-off families in the show. This financial abundance creates space for them to focus on deeper values and intentional parenting, rather than operating in a survival mindset. In contrast, Amber, played by Magha ascendant Mae Whitman, has a father who is largely absent from her life, appearing for only about 5% of the show, and a mother, Sarah, who struggles as a single parent with limited financial means. As a result, Amber and her brother live with their grandparents. Sarah's financial struggles force her to focus on making ends meet, leaving her less room to engage in proactive, value-driven parenting compared to her more affluent siblings. In this scene, the contrast between the Magha teenager's mother and the Purva Phalguni teenager's mother becomes clear. The context is that the Magha teenager Amber, at 19, is having a fling with a 28-year-old man. Her aunt Christina, who is the Purva Phalguni teenager Hattie's mother, intervenes just as Amber is about to have sex with him for the first time. When Christina informs Amber's mother Sarah about the situation, Sarah's reaction highlights the differences in their parenting styles.
I'm devastated. I don't understand the problem. So they like each other?
I don't know. Sarah, I went there to stop it. We're in the middle of a campaign and I'm trying to protect
the
Amber.
Campaign is in trouble if he goes on a date with somebody? I don't understand.
If she's going to learn that it's not right to date your boss, she's going to learn it on her own.
She was embarrassed.
Her to make a mistake, okay?
I don't want her to make a mistake either. I'm her mother.
She's going to make her own mistakes.
This shows how the parents of the Purva Phalguni teenager often prioritize keeping her safe and protected, sometimes to the point of being overly strict or controlling. For example, Hattie had 2 boyfriends at different points during season 1 to 3, and in both cases, she wasn't initially allowed to date them. This also ties in with the romantic tragedies and relationships failing due to external factors that I explored in part 1 of this series on my blog. Hattie's parents' overprotectiveness often left little room for her to make her own choices. Their first instinct is always to forbid their children from pursuing something whenever a situation becomes even slightly challenging, reflecting their constant desire to shield them from harm. This further reinforces the theme of Venusian elitism, which often manifests as a desire for perfectionism. While rooted in good intentions, this perfectionism can sometimes become overbearing, leading to a bitter dynamic where the focus on protection and high standards overshadows the child's autonomy and personal growth. With Sydney, her parents initially prioritize keeping her happy by always letting her win at games and giving her whatever she wanted to eat whenever she wanted it. This indulgent approach, while well-meaning, led to Sydney struggling with losing or hearing the word no. She would have meltdowns whenever she faced any form of disappointment, prompting her parents to realize the importance of setting boundaries. They eventually began enforcing small consequences like putting her in timeout to help her understand limits and learn how to handle challenges and setbacks more effectively. With the monetary advantages and time for proactive parenting, one might assume that a Purva Phalguni child would have an idyllic upbringing. However, in their quest to create a perfect and safe environment, the parents of a Purva Phalguni child often end up over-coddling them. This overly sheltered upbringing can deprive the child of valuable life lessons that come from experiencing challenges and hardships.
She's getting acclimated. It's all about feeling safe and confident in the water, right?
I'm swimming. That's not swimming, baby. Don't let anybody tell you that that's swimming.
Additionally, the emphasis on maintaining perfection places immense pressure on the child to never make mistakes or deviate from expectations.
Sorry for not being the girl that you thought I was.
As a result, when adulthood arrives with its responsibilities and harsh realities, the Purva Phalguni individual often feels overwhelmed, unprepared, and unable to cope. Their nervous system spirals, leading the Purva Phalguni men to retreat into indulgence and slackness, gravitating towards controlling women, unaware that these women may actually provide the structure and grounding they subconsciously crave.
You are very controlling. I mean, how we load the dishwasher? Or how we unload groceries, or the toilet paper's gotta be up instead of under because you like up, or the fact that there's no whole milk in the fridge, which is what I like.
On the other hand, Purva Phalguni women often swing to the opposite extreme, becoming uptight and cynical after encountering only carefree, unreliable men. Ironically, the carefree man represents the balance and lightness they deeply need, but their guarded nature prevents them from embracing it. You can see the effects of this Purva Phalguni coddling in Crosby, who struggles with adulthood, as hinted by scenes of him still bringing his laundry to his parents' house while living on a houseboat. His carefree, indulgent lifestyle reflects the sheltered upbringing that left him unprepared for real-world responsibilities. However, as Crosby begins to take on more responsibilities, particularly as a father, he starts to understand the importance of allowing children and teenagers to make mistakes and learn things the hard way. This shift highlights his growth and the eventual recognition that over-coddling can hinder personal development. In this scene, you can clearly see the distinction between a Purva Phalguni adult like Crosby and someone who is the father of a Purva Phalguni teenager like Adam. Crosby and Adam open a recording studio together and hire their niece Amber as an assistant. During this time, Amber discovers that a musician at the studio she was casually dating actually has a girlfriend. This revelation infuriates Adam, who immediately reacts with anger and protectiveness. While Crosby remains calm and composed, having faced the responsibilities of adulthood and learned to navigate unexpected hardships, Crosby understands that challenges are a part of life and that it's possible to overcome them.
How is she gonna learn a lesson if you throw him out?
He also understands the harm that extreme protectiveness and sheltering can cause. He recognizing that constantly sheltering someone or striving to keep them perpetually happy and positive can ultimately do more harm than good. This moment highlights Crosby's acceptance of life's imperfections, contrasting Adam's instinct to protect at all costs. You can also see this behavior with Yolanda Hadid in real life, who is called an almond mom as a meme on the internet due to her controlling her daughter's diets to an extreme extent. Bella Hadid has moon in Purva Phalguni Nakshatra and had to undergo a rhinoplasty at the age of 14. Some say this is because her mother Yolanda is so specific about her daughter's looks. The cosmic stage of Purva Phalguni Nakshatra is one of balancing indulgence with responsibility, freedom with structure, and idealism with reality. Through these introspective Purva Phalguni stories, we see how overprotection and excessive expectations can lead to both struggle ideals, and growth. Ultimately, the essence of Purva Phalguni lies in transformation and alchemy, learning to embrace imperfections, overcome challenges, and find harmony between pleasure and accountability. Whether in relationships, parenting, or personal development, these lessons remind us that true fulfillment comes not from perfection, but from growth through embracing life's imperfections. Thank you so much for watching. All my links will be below if you're looking for them. Bye!